Of course, people were having a hard time finding things to disagree about. And in some cases, I found people, like these guys were saying, they're sharing pictures of their kids, you know. Well, did you have a hard time? They're like, no, we disagreed, and now we're sharing pictures of our children. So, what do you find? Did you have a difficult time? Y'all had a difficult time finding anything to disagree on? Or maybe even if you disagreed on something, did anyone find that they found ways of agreeing within that?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah? Yeah, interesting, huh? And all we're doing, I mean, in any situation where you'll find 9 times out of 10 that regardless of what the subject matter is verbally, if you can mirror and match up a little bit physically, you're going to have a hard time not being in rapport with somebody. So for the proof, your experience and your muscle now to know that mirroring and matching can be pretty powerful when you're using those mirroring neurons. Yeah. Now, this is something you also have to be careful of too, of course, right? Imagine you have a patient coming in who doesn't feel well at all. You don't want to feel like that, right? They have some long-term chronic thing. Have you heard these studies about doctors who work in clinics where they specialize in allergies or something, and they end up with the worst allergies of anybody? Or cancer, and they end up with the worst cancers? Yeah, a little too much mirroring and matching. So I keep talking about pacing and leading and pacing and leading. What we're going to do in a moment is go from this pacing. This is deep pacing at this point, getting a sense of psychogeography and mirroring and matching. You don't want to hold into that space for too long, just long enough that you'll get a sense, as it was pretty obvious you did, even when you're disagreeing, you can tell the energy in the room changes, right? The energy between the two of you changes, even when you're talking about something you disagree on. You get a feeling in your body. One of the ways that when I was first learning this stuff that I started seeing it happening, that I knew that I'd got rapport with somebody. I had a woman standing across from me, we were speaking to each other, and I was kind of mirroring, matching her posture just a little bit, and I had an itch on my nose that was unconscious to me. As I itched it, she started scratching her nose, and she just kept talking. Well, that's kind of weird, so I shifted my weight, she shifted her weight. And I knew I was in rapport. That's the point. You know you can start leading, because as you're pacing somebody, as soon as you change something, they change to match you. Yeah? So it's just the beginning of bringing to conscious awareness the unconscious rapport stuff we're talking about. And one way of bridging the gap between those two things, I'm going to bring up something a little bit more advanced now that would normally be in a more advanced course. Beyond mirroring and matching your speech patterns, your posture, your breathing, if you want to take it a step further, you can mirror and match preterites. And preterites, sensory predicates, process words. So have you ever been with somebody watching, say, a sunset, a beautiful sunset, and maybe you're saying, wow, those beautiful colors, look at the way that the sky is as the sun goes down, and another person goes, yeah, but I'm so cold. You know? Or if you're a therapist, sometimes you may see an argument between two people where one person may say, he just isn't hearing me, and the other one is saying, well, she never touches me. You know, just trying to get what I'm getting at here. That one person is more in a visual modality, and the other person may be more auditory in a given context. And so, as you listen to people's speech patterns, you'll start to hear, or feel, or see the fact that most people are telling you the primary sensory modality that they're thinking in a given context. So as somebody's talking about their shoulder, they may say, oh, it feels really heavy, it's really a weighty, heavy sensation that I feel. Another person with the same injury may go, it's a searing red hot pain. Another person would say, it's got a kind of a tone, it goes dee 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 every time I move. Hearing the differences there? That for some people, the same experience is more a visual experience. For other people, it's more auditory. For other people, it's more kinesthetic. Now, I'm going to talk about 3 primary modalities. Modality means sense. So if I say modality, I mean sense, one of the 5 senses. Smell and taste fall within kinesthetic for the purposes of what we're talking about, the sense of feeling something. And these 2 guys up on the screen here, this is Richard Bandler and John Grinder. And these guys lived around here. I don't know if they still do. I don't think they do very often. In Santa Cruz, guy on the right there, John Grinder, is a professor of linguistics at Santa Cruz in the 70s. And this was Richard Bandler, was a student of mathematics there and a funky hippie kind of guy, very smart guy as well. And what they were doing is they developed what's called NLP, and maybe some of you have heard of neurolinguistic programming. started out here, and what they were doing was trying to model people who get exceptional results, specifically at the time in therapy. And they modeled Milton Erickson, who we talked about, Virginia Satir, Fritz Perls, who, if you've heard of Fritz Perls, started kind of through Esalen, the Gestalt movement. But what they found was that there were tens of thousands of therapists and therapies, but only a few people were getting direct, quick results. And so they were trying to figure out what were the secrets of these people, that they were getting results where nobody else would, and they were modeling these people. And so they would set up support groups. I don't know if, Jason, if you were in one of those things, but these groups where they would bring people together and experiment. They'd say, okay, Fritz Perls does this, this, this. Let's play with this a little bit and see if we can do it on our little group and have the same results. And they kept trying to figure this stuff out, and out of that came the field of neurolinguistics, neurolinguistic programming. Now, one of their experiences was that they had a support group going somewhere around here, actually, near San Jose, from what I'm told. And as they're listening to people talk, as they're driving home together, these two, one of them noticed, you know, this one person keeps saying, wow, that's really heavy, man, that's really heavy. And another person kept saying, I hear what you're saying, that really sounds interesting to me. And they started wondering, is this actually giving somebody a clue to the way that they process information, literally? This person's more auditory, this person's more kinesthetic. As it turns out, it was true. If you start listening to the way somebody talks and get a sense of which modality is their primary modality, it's not universal. You know, when I'm talking to you right now, I may be primarily auditory. When I'm out, you know, walking my dog, I might be more kinesthetic. It's all context specific. That makes sense. So what we want to do if we want to get deep rapport with somebody is if we can start hearing those words and getting a clue as to what somebody's primary sensory modality is, we can respond to them in that same modality using words that are similar. You're going to get deep, rapid rapport with anybody. So one way of going about this is not that, is in your packet there, in your workbook deal, looks like it says page 5 in there. Page 3, look at page 3, it says sensory predicates. You know about those? So these are some examples of what I'm talking about. So you see under visual, these are all different things that somebody might say in order to give you a clue into what their primary sort of modality is, right? Seeing this hazy, you know, sight for sore eyes, there are all kinds of ways that people represent or reality there. And so that page and the one after it, at some point in your lives, if you want to get much more deeply into this, you can start looking at those words and start getting a sense. And one thing that we can all do now real quick is if you go to page 5, you'll see that there are a list of different terms and things people might say. So if y'all have a pen or pencil, just by yourself for a few moments, go through those and decide whether those appear to be more visual, auditory, or kinesthetic, each one of those statements. And this is sort of like a sensory acuity sort of stretch for this topic. So go ahead and do that for a couple moments.
Can we go through the definition of auditory?
So look at the second one down there. So anything that refers to something that relates to sounds of sound.
Oh, sound.
Yeah.
Okay, auditory.
And you can always look back a
Visual,
couple of
okay.
pages at those lists to get a sense of that as well.